As we discussed in the last video, chickens are wonderful creatures, and having them will exponentially benefit you and your family. However, most good things have their quirks, and chicken keeping is no exception. So now that we've went over the pros, let's uncover the top 5 cons to owning backyard chickens. While they are certainly a lot cheaper than any other form of livestock, they still can be rather expensive. The "can be" is important because there are hidden ways around dropping tons of cash on these little gals, which we will discuss in future videos, so be sure to subscribe for that. But no matter what you do, like most anything with long-term benefits, you will have to invest a chunk of money into them, especially in the beginning. You will have to invest in feed, grit, feeders, bedding, a coop, a run, etc., etc. And if you want to raise them organically, as I recommend you do, it will be even more expensive. They are live animals, and just because they're easy doesn't mean that they aren't going to need regular care and maintenance, just like a dog or cat. So make sure you count the costs, literally. Number 2 has less to do with chickens and more to do with your friendly neighborhood government officials. We all know how much they love us and seek to take care of us with every ounce of their being. So, out of genuine love for you and your family, many of them have decided to put a cap on your rights to owning chickens, along with pretty much everything else. Depending on where you live, you may be enslaved to certain regulations imposed by the local government on how many chickens you can own, whether or not you can have a rooster, how you must store water and food, etc. This is something you're going to have to research yourself, as it varies from country to country, state to state, county to county. It is a pain, I know, but just understand that it is just because they simply love you under their control. That kind of leads me on to my next point. This is more of like a preference thing. I personally enjoy the sound of chickens, especially the little squawks of excitement when I let them out of the coop or give them a treat. I have also been blessed to live in a place surrounded by chicken owners, so we haven't had any issues or complaints from neighbors. But for some, that may be an easy way to make those around you upset. Now, I'm not saying to stunt the betterment of your family to appease those around you, especially if it's legal in your area. It's your house and you have a right to do as you please and perform what's best for you and your family. However, a good relationship with your neighbors may be more valuable than a couple of chickens. Roosters are widely understood to be loud, but chickens, on the other hand, are typically quiet creatures and only are loud when excited, spooked, or especially when they are laying an egg. Again, this is up to your interpretation, whether this point is a con or not, but I thought you should be aware of it, especially if you have never been around chickens before. If it is a concern of yours, I would recommend watching a video on the different noises a chicken makes. I've seen a few here on YouTube that have been helpful for me to interpret the noises, but it could be of value to you in understanding their sounds and noise levels. Along with everything else on the earth that lives, the chicken is susceptible to all sorts of predators and diseases, and even more so considering how low they are in the food chain. It turns out that we humans are not the only fans of a good juicy chicken wing. One of the biggest problems you'll encounter and have to consider as a chicken owner is keeping your chickens safe from outsiders. The worst part is they're literally everywhere. In the air, on the ground, in the ground, small, large, you name it, they're stalking your birds. That's why it's extremely important to provide a predator-proof coop for your chickens, as they are most vulnerable at night when they are asleep. Second to that is the issue of disease. Disease is even more difficult in my experience because it comes in so many different forms, and the diagnosing, treating, and recovery process is such a tedious and sometimes painful work. Of course, you could take it to the vet, but if you're like me, you don't have $3 grand to drop on a chicken, so you would be the one doing it all. It is a matter of recognizing that there might be a problem, isolating the bird, watching dozens of videos, skimming through hundreds of forums to properly diagnose the issue, pinpointing the plan of recovery, executing the plan, and hoping and praying that they make it. And sometimes, they don't. Obviously, you can't prevent everything, and though you may take all the right precautions, you could still experience loss in your flock. It is a part of life, and death is something that nothing can escape. It will happen sooner or later, whether a predator, disease, or simply old age, and you have to prepare yourself for when that time comes. Chicken math is a phenomenon recently discovered by chicken owners, and many avid homesteaders are bringing awareness to its existence, especially to those who are looking into chicken keeping. And since it's such an important and growing topic, I feel I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention it. I think it would be better explained as a story rather than with a description, though. Imagine that you go to your local feed store and you pick up 5 new baby chicks. Enchanted by their little peeps in the box, you can't wait to get them home and see what they look like. Upon arrival, you release them into their brooder box, carefully introducing them to their water and feed. You watch as the little cotton balls prance around the brooder, occasionally losing balance and tumbling across the floor. You chuckle, but your grin instantly turns flat. You realize that you forgot to pick up Grit, So you get back in the car and make your way back up to the store. And while you're picking up the grit, you hear the cries of the other little chicks still waiting to find a home. So you tell yourself, a couple more won't hurt. So along with the grit, you bring home 2 more baby chicks and introduce them to the flock, satisfied with your decision to purchase these little ones and leave them to play. A week later, and you need more food. You head back up to the store and are met once again with the cries of those little nuggets, and you think, it might not actually be a bad idea to get 3 more just to even things out. And now you find yourself taking care of 10 chicks instead of the initial 5 you told yourself you were going to get. And unfortunately, this phenomenon only gets worse as you learn more about how many breeds there are and want to get 2 of each to diversify your collection. And your 10-bird operation turns into 30. Long story short, you will learn very quickly that raising chickens isn't a small little hobby you can start for a few months and move on. It can become an addiction if you aren't careful. I have to warn you that it is one of the most joyful and satisfying endeavors you will embark on. Does that really count as a con? I'll leave that up to you. Now that you've properly counted the cost of owning chickens, it's time to pick your breed. So meet me over here where we'll discuss the different breeds so you can choose which one works best for you and your family. But until then, glorify Yahweh and burn the boxes. See y'all next time.